Swadee ka, thank you for joining us on Newsline. We're broadcasting live on NBT Radio Thailand FM 88 and on NBT World. It's a Sunday and the date is June 28th of 2015 and you're with me, Sandra Han Utsaha. Welcome to today's segment of Thailand Moves Forward. Let's have a look at our first story. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha has affirmed the government's commitment to develop alternative energy and reduce import dependence. The pledge was made during his weekly broadcast program, Return Happiness to the People, during which he told the public that Thailand possesses many untapped energy sources waiting for exploration. He said laws will be updated to facilitate the move. General Prayut expressed his concern over the nation's reliance on natural gas and fuel oil as the country's main energy sources, saying at the moment the government spends a massive amount of budget on energy imports to satisfy high demand from both transportation and household consumption. Currently, Thailand uses gas and oil in 70% of the kingdom's electricity generation. He stressed Thailand would need to keep a balanced approach to the production of each kind of alternative energy, otherwise it would negatively affect investment in the future. In another move to upgrade the country's rubber industry, the government has launched the Rubber City project aimed at overhauling the whole rubber production. Speaking about the project in his weekly TV program, Prime Minister and leader of the National Council for Peace and Order, or NCPO, Prayut Chan-o-cha, said that the government intended to increase rubber output by at least 25% and raise consumption of processed rubber from 10 to 30% per year in order to boost export value and prices. At the same time, the government will promote small and medium businesses in the special economic zones and facilitate trade connectivity among these economic zones so as to further bolster rubber production and consumption. Prime Minister Prayut explained that the country's supply of processed rubber was currently not enough to meet the actual demand. If the project is successful, the country's spending on processed rubber should drop accordingly. Despite the government's plan to promote the rubber industry, the Premier affirmed that rubber cultivation in encroached forests must be discontinued, adding that the government would work out ways to minimize the impact of the land reclamation campaign on low-income farmers. The Finance Ministry is to issue a series of measures to cope with drought effects in the agricultural sector within a month. Finance Minister Somai Phasi said Deputy Prime Minister Mom Ratchawong Prithiyathorn Thevakul would soon hold a meeting with relevant authorities to draw up clear-cut measures to relieve the impact of drought and assist farmers in drought-hit areas. He confirmed the Finance Ministry has a sufficient budget to help farmers. The Bank for Agriculture and Agricultural Cooperatives is now working on soft loans with low interest rates and an extension of debt repayment periods for farmers. Somai also called for farmers' understanding in the difficulty encountered by the government in dealing with drought. Moreover, he said Thailand was facing a contraction in export growth, which could derail the country's economic growth target this year. The minister added such an economic slowdown also developed in various countries worldwide. The European economy, in particular, showed very clear contraction, as seen in the fall of their exports and imports. 248 former members of parliament are not allowed to submit additional evidence concerning their impeachment motions. The National Legislative Assembly, or NLA, rejected a request for additional documents from 248 former members of Parliament who are being tried for their involvement in the attempt to amend the Senate Origin Bill during the previous administration. In addition, the NLA has scheduled July 15th and 16th for the opening of impeachment cases against the former MPs. Members of the legislature will have until noon of July 20th to submit questions to President Ponpetwiti Cholachai before the 248 former House members, or the accused, and the National Anti-Graft Body, or the plaintiff, are summoned for questioning. The committee in charge of the annual budget scrutiny has begun its deliberation of next year's budgets for different ministries. The annual budget scrutinizing committee decided to cut 423 million baht from the budgets for the ministries of Finance, Information and Communication Technology, Commerce, Agriculture and Cooperatives, as well as Natural Resources and Environment. The 5 ministries requested budgets of 715 billion baht out of the 2.7 trillion baht allocation. Speaker of the Annual Budget Scrutinizing Committee, Chad Udom Ditasiri, revealed that the committee members rejected financial requests for procurement and maintenance of durable goods, new construction, and state property, as the remaining budgets should be enough for these purposes. Aside from the budget cuts, the committee has advised the Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives to closely monitor its assistance projects for drought-hit areas, since the implementation was prone to corruption. Deliberation of the 2016 budgets was 3 days behind schedule. The government marked the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking by incinerating more than 9 tons of narcotics. The activity was intended to highlight the government's stance against drug abuse and all forms of drug crime. The confiscated drugs were destroyed using a pyrolytic incineration system, which poses no risk to the environment. The United Nations has designated June 26th of each year as International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking to raise awareness of the world's chronic drug problems. The Ministry of Public Health last year managed to bring more than 350,000 drug users into its rehabilitation system. This year, it plans to involve over 220,000 addicts in its drug withdrawal program. The amount of violence in Thailand's southern border provinces dropped 73% year-on-year during the month prior to the Muslim fasting month and in the first week of Ramadan, according to the Region 4 Internal Security Operations Command, or ISOC. Region 4 ISOC spokesman Pramod Prom In said that less than 19 insurgency-related incidents took place before and during the start of Ramadan, which started on the 17th of June. Colonel Pramod said there were 5 violent incidents, resulting in 3 deaths during the first week of Ramadan. As for the bomb attacks in Yala province from the 14th to the 16th of May, he said 34 suspects have been detained and 8 of them have already confessed to being involved in the bombings. According to the Ministry of Commerce, Thai exports have hit a new low, seeing a contraction of 5.01%. The ministry said exports in May totaled $18.4 billion, the 5th consecutive drop in 5 months. Imports for the month were estimated at $16 billion, resulting in a trade surplus of $2.41 billion. Exports in January to May totaled $88.6 billion, which is a decrease of 4.2%, while imports for the 5 months resulted in a surplus of $3.3 billion. The sharp drop is attributed largely to the slower-than-expected global economic recovery and Thailand's lower competitiveness. The Commerce Ministry is planning the fourth auction of 1.39 million tons of both fragrant and white rice in different grades kept in the government stockpiles nationwide, according to Banjongtit Angsu Singh, the Deputy Director General of the Foreign Trade Department. The grains are from 156 government stockpiles, 107 warehouses under the Public Warehouse Organization, and 49 marketing organizations for farmers' warehouses in 32 provinces across Thailand. There are 14 types of rice to be sold this time, and 56,000 tons of it are 5% white rice and 100% jasmine rice. Banjongtit was confident the fourth auction could draw greater attention from private bidders, as the ministry was successful in the latest auction, in which 70% of stockpiled rice was sold. She believed demand in the rice markets remained high. Thus, the auction was coming at the right time and seemed to have no negative impact on the whole rice market. Thai Boat Museum is located in Ayutthaya province. This museum is a learning center for students, tourists, and international public who are interested, and it aims at preserving the Thai boat history for the next generation. And here's the story.
Thai people has been connected to waterways and boats for a long time. The economic purpose of boats in the past has led to this vehicle being inseparable from society in Thai history. Professor Paitun Khawmala, the founder of Thai Boat Museum of Ayutthaya province, has possessed an unwavering passion for rivers and boats since he was a child. He is also a master who teaches the design, planning, and crafting processes of these boats. Professor Paitun established the Thai Boat Museum to conserve the educational sources of Thai boats for students, tourists, and members of both the Thai and international public who are interested. He used his pension and sales revenue to fund the construction of this museum, preserving invaluable information on boats that were used in the kingdom dating back more than a century.
ครอบครัวเราได้เสียสละเสียสละขายที่นามาบางส่วนแล้วก็มาสร้างพิพิธภัณฑ์เรือไทยเป็นเรือโบราณแล้วก็เรือพระราชพิธีเราก็เรือพระราชพิธีนี่ผมภูมิใจมากว่าเป็นผลงานที่เราทำขึ้นเองนะมีความสง่างามและสวยงามละเอียดละออมากแล้วก็พร้อมกว่านั้นอีกชิ้นหนึ่งก็ได้เขียนหนังสือเรื่องเรือไทยไว้4 เล่มเป็นสิ่งที่เราภูมิใจได้น้อมเกล้าถวายได้ทูลเกล้าถวายครับ
The museum consists of 3 sections: ancient shipbuilding, the ancient boat exhibition hall, showcasing the royal barges, and finally the outdoor display of large vessels, which features actual vessels designed by the Khawmala family and the ancient boat models. Professor Kanok Khawmala, the son of Professor Paitun Khawmala, the inheritor of his father's work in looking after the museum, says that the establishment of this museum as a learning center will help preserve traditional knowledge. A new generation of Thai citizens will be able to view this important chapter in history, which is a rare sight in the present day.
การที่เราทำมาถึงวันนี้เนี่ยนะฮะก็ต้องนึกถึงที่คุณพ่อเสียสละแทนที่จะทำบ้านเพื่อพักอยู่สบายๆก็เอาสตังค์ไปซื้อเรือมาเก็บมาทำหนังสือมาเขียนคำอธิบายเองแต่ความภูมิใจตรงนั้นก็ได้ย้อนกลับมาอย่างหนึ่งคือนอกเหนือจากที่คุณพ่อได้ทำถวายงานในหลายๆโอกาสแล้วเนี่ยนะครับชาวต่างชาติเขาเห็นความสำคัญได้เชิญเราไปจัดแสดงที่ซีแอตเทิลที่ประเทศสหรัฐอเมริกานะครับก็ ได้นำความรู้เรื่องเรือไปเผยแพร่วัฒนธรรมไทยนะครับผมก็เอาความรู้ของผมที่ได้เคยทำงานกับบริษัทต่างชาติเนี่ยมาใช้ในเรื่องนี้เพื่อที่จะถ่ายทอดออกไปนะครับ
The Thai Boat Museum does not have an entrance fee, but rather allows the visitors to donate, whether it will be money or material, that will help support the museum's operations. This is the wish of the founder of the museum, that preserving Thai history and passing on this traditional wisdom to the next generation.
And that is the end of today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. Before we have our quick break, here's a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
Maintain a strong nation, Thailand is promoting 12 core values for the good of the people. The 10th core value: applying His Majesty the King's sufficiency economy, saving money for a time of need, being moderate with surplus for sharing or expansion of business.
How could you do that to me? Stop it! Huh? Don't you get it? I don't need you anymore. Enough! We're through. There's someone else in my life.
Say no to the past. Bring your own bag. Say no to plastic.
Swadee krab, this is Thailand at large. The show which is about to take you to the new experiences with the exciting stories.
With charming fascination.
Good.
With a touch of Thainess.
Let's join us on NBT World. Explore with us and you'll know and love Thailand even more than before.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. The Prime Minister has urged related agencies to complete their national single window system prior to the integration of the ASEAN community to facilitate the region's trade and investment. The Prime Minister's Office Deputy Spokesman, Major General Sansan Gyaokamnut, revealed that Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha has appointed the Minister of Finance and the Customs Department to be the main agencies responsible for the installation of the National Single Window, or NSW, system to increase the nation's competitiveness. The NSW will be providing a complete service which will help reduce the cost of and facilitate international trade. 29 agencies in Thailand, such as the Customs Department, the Department of Foreign Trade, and the Industrial Estate Authority of Thailand, while 7 other agencies are now in the process of developing and testing their integration to the system. Other ASEAN country members have also developed systems to build a connected electronic database between each nation's NSW system to provide a one-stop service that will reduce operational and management costs and simplify international trading procedures. And now on to our global stories. About 200 people were injured after a fire suspected to have stemmed from the explosion of an unknown flammable powder occurred in a recreational park in northern Taiwan, local media reported on Saturday. The fire broke out at the center of the stage when up to 1,000 people were having a color play party, a festival of dance and music where revelers are sprayed with clouds of colored powder. Footage from TV stations showed flames reaching into the sky, with some people running to escape. New Taipei City Mayor Eric Chu told reporters the injured have been sent to hospitals nearby. He pledged to investigate the cause to find out who is responsible. He said the city authorities demanded the park be shut down immediately for inspection. Tunisia plans within a week to close down 80 mosques that remain outside state control for inciting violence as a countermeasure after a hotel attack that killed 39 people, Prime Minister Habib Assid said on Friday. The announcement came after a gunman disguised as a tourist opened fire at a Tunisian hotel on Friday with a rifle he had hidden in an umbrella, killing 39 people, including Britons, Germans, and Belgians, as they lounged at the beach in an attack claimed by Islamic State. Terrified tourists ran for cover after the gunfire and an explosion erupted at the Imperial Marhaba in Sousse, 140 kilometers or 90 miles south of the capital Tunis, before police shot the gunman dead, witnesses and security officials said. The bodies of several tourists lay where they fell in the sand, covered with yellow towels and blankets among the plastic white sunbeds. The hotel's main steps were left smeared in blood. Greece's European partners shut the door on extending a credit lifeline to Athens on Saturday, leaving it facing a default that could push it out of the euro after the leftist government rejected tough lender demands and put their bailout deal to a referendum. Finance ministers of the other 18 countries sharing the euro met for the first time without Greece and flatly rejected its pleas to extend an expiring bailout until after the referendum on July 5th, and setting the stage for Athens to default on a crucial International Monetary Fund or IMF payment on Tuesday. After the departure of Greek Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis from the meeting, ministers were left discussing Plan B, or how to limit the damage of a default. German Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble said he foresaw acute problems for Greece. The 18 pledged to do whatever it takes to stabilize the common currency area and said they were in much better shape to do so than at the height of the Eurozone crisis a few years ago. In a formal statement, they also implicitly urged Greece to impose capital controls to stabilize its banking system. Ministers said they wanted to avoid the risk of contagion. After its surprise decision to call a referendum on the bailout, Athens asked for an extension of Greece's bailout program beyond Tuesday, the day it must pay 1.6 billion euros to the International Monetary Fund or default. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook by simply typing in NNT. And do check out our website at thainews.prd.go.th/newsing. Today we're saying goodbye with footage of the world's ugliest dog, Quasimodo. He's a pit bull Dutch Shepherd mix with a deformed spine. Have a great Sunday. I'm Sandra Han of Saha. Swadee ka.